Yo, the Bible has just some amazingly funny stories. We're going to talk about my top 5 here on All Things Theology.
All things theology, all things theology. We chop it up properly without an apology. Gotta give that theology to God, hallowed be, cause this is how we do it at All Things Theology.
Yo, grace and peace. Welcome back to another episode of All Things Theology, where this is your host, K-Dub, and today we're going to talk about some funny stories in the Bible. Guys, I am convinced that God enjoys some good old humor, and there are some funny ones in the Bible. As you guys know, I like to share my comedic humor sometimes when discussing theology, right? Life is funny, man. Life is funny. And so there's some stories in the Bible that'll just, you read it, how could you not laugh, right? How could you read some of these stories and be like, man, there's some good ones. Let's start out with this has got to be one of my favorite. I don't know why it's so funny to me, but let's talk about it, right? Genesis 18. It says, and I got to give some little context, right? So the Lord appears to Abraham and Sarah, right? That's the beginning of where we find this story. And Abraham begins to cook for God, right? That's funny in itself. But then God's like, where's Sarah? Where's your wife at? Right? And he said, she's in the tent. Verse 10, the Lord said, I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah, your wife, shall have a son. Right? So God makes a prophetic word that you're going to have a child. Right? And Sarah, she's like eavesdropping over here. And Sarah was listening at the tent door behind them. Right? Now, Abraham and Sarah were old, advanced in years, and the way of women had ceased to be with Sarah. So Sarah laughed to herself, saying, after I am worn out, my Lord is old, shall I have pleasure? The Lord said to Abraham, like, this is funny, right? He said, what is she laughing about, right? The Lord hit her with this.
Hey, who mans is this? Oh, mans is this?
Right? What you laughing about? Why did Sarah laugh and say, shall I indeed bear a child now that I am too old, that I'm old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? Right? And at the appointed time of return to you, right? You have a son. Sarah, but this is the humorous part, right? Verse 15. But Sarah denied it, saying, I did not laugh, for she was afraid. And he said, no, but you did laugh, right? To me, that is hilarious. Like, I didn't laugh, but yeah, you did, right? Man, if you can't laugh at that, I don't know what's wrong with your tickle bone, right? But let's get into our second one, man. Some funny stuff in the Bible, man. Let's get it. Acts 20, 7 through 12. Have you ever been preaching, listening to a preacher? Matter of fact, let me say it like this. You have never listened to a preacher preach so much they put you to a deep sleep. You might have gone to sleep, but you ain't deep sleep. Notice with this. On the first day of the week, when we were gathered together to break bread, Paul talked with them, intended to depart on the next day, and he prolonged his speech until midnight. So all those long-winded preachers, be encouraged. You're in good company. There were many lamps in the upper room where we were gathered, and a young man named Eutychus, sitting at the window, sank into a deep sleep as Paul talked still longer. It's like going on like Paul, like, bro, he was talking all night, man. He didn't want to stop. And being overcome by sleep, he fell down from the third story and was taken up dead. Oh my goodness. He fell asleep and just fell out the window. But why was he sitting at the window? I don't know. But Paul went down and bent over him, taking him in his arms and said, do not be alarmed, for his life is in him. Paul gave him life. Right, when Paul had gone up and broken bread and eaten, he conversed with them a long while until daybreak. It didn't stop Paul from preaching. You think a dead man, a man dying that night, is going to stop the Apostle Paul? He said, no, the sermon must go on. That is hilarious.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up out of your sleep, wake up out of your sleep.
But we are not done. Yes, we still have some biblical comedy, some stuff maybe you've never seen before. Let's get into another one of my favorites, and this is a good track analogy, shall I say. John 20. Let's read what we have here. It says, "Now on the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene came to the tomb early, while it was still dark," right? "And saw that the stone had been taken away from the tomb," right? This is right after the death of Christ. They come to check on the body. "So she ran." There's a lot of running going on in this story. "She ran and went to Simon Peter and the other disciple." Now, the other disciple is commonly known as John. That's generally how he refers to himself, the other disciple, the one whom, the disciple whom Jesus loved, even, right? "And said to them, they have taken the Lord out of the tomb, and we do not know where they have laid him." So Peter went out with the other disciple, and they were going toward the tomb. Both of them were running together, but the disciple outran Peter and reached the tomb first. Bro, you didn't have to say that. You could have just said y'all ran to, the tomb. John had that speed. He might have been a receiver for the Cowboys. 4.40, no doubt. That to me is so funny that the Spirit of God inspired the speed of John, right? So hilarious to me. So funny.
I decided to go for a little run. So I ran to the end of the road.
Anyways, next story, let's get into it. 1 Samuel 4:13 through 18. Let's check this one out. It says, "When he arrived, Eli was sitting on his seat by the road watching, for his heart trembled for the ark of God. And when the man came into the city and told the news, all the city cried out. When Eli heard the sound of their outcry, he said, 'What is this uproar?' When the man hurried and came and told Eli. Now Eli was 98 years old, and his eyes were set so that he could not see." He's old and he's blind, right? Pretty much. "And the man said to Eli, 'I am the one who has come from the battle. I fled from the battle today.' And he said, 'How did it go, my son?' He who brought the news answered and said, 'Israel has fled before the Philistines, and there's also been a great defeat among the people. Your two sons also, Hophni and Phinehas, are dead, and the ark of God has been captured." Devastating news for an Israelite. As soon as he mentioned the ark of God, Eli fell over backward from his seat by the side of the gate, and his neck was broken, and he died. But this is the reason why. Look at this reason. For the man was old and heavy. Man, he's just a fat man on a seat, just falls over. Man, that is wild story. Little comedy relief right there. Stay in shape. Don't be leaning back in your seat. Your mama ever told you, don't lean in the back of that seat. You're going to break your neck and you're going to die. Yeah, that's what happens. I mean, you better listen to your mama, Eli. You didn't listen to your mama.
Mike, were you really sick this week? What was the problem?
I broke my back.
What do you mean by that?
My back is broken.
Right? Last story we have here. This one comes out of Mark 4:35 through 41. We got to get a story about Jesus, right? Absolutely. It says, "On that day, when evening had come, he said to them, 'Let us go across to the other side.' And leaving the crowd, they took him with him in the boat, just as he was. And other boats were with him. And a great windstorm arose, and the waves were breaking into the boat, so that the boat was already filling." Scary moment, right? This wasn't no little rain. This was a storm on this boat. It was going down. But he was in the stern, asleep on the cushion. So Jesus is passed out. There's a wild storm going on. Jesus, he just passed out, just sleep, knocked out, man. Just ain't waking up, just sleep. Well, notice what they say. And they woke him and said to him, "Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing?" Like they're scared to death. They're like, "Man, I know you're getting this good sleep and all, but it looks like we're about to die, right?"
Help me! Help me!
And right, we know the rest of this story. He gets up out of the sleep, just probably he was in deep REM sleep, right? And he goes out there and rebukes the sea. To me, that's a funny story, right? This just imagine this scene, like, Lord, aren't you gonna help us, right? Wow, funny story to me, man. I hope you enjoy the comic relief found in the Bible. Maybe this will cause you to go read the Bible, guys. There's some stories like this. Not all obviously, there's everything's not a comedy. Everything's not right. There's even theology in the comedy, right? We could have gone into some of that, but hey, read your Bible, laugh with the laughter that God has put in the pages. You just don't want to be the object of God's laughter. Psalm 2 for the reference. But this is something to read your Bible, enjoy your Bible reading. Till the next time, y'all, grace and peace. Yo, grace and peace. Thank you for watching another episode of All Things Theology. If you enjoyed what you heard today, go on and give me a like. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell. I promise to give you weekly lives, videos, interactions, exposing false teachers, sharing with you, the viewer, my theological beliefs, things about the culture, and the Bible. So if you're here for that, come on and join us. Also, if you would like to support this channel financially, you can do so by becoming a Patreon member or a YouTube member. Links are in the description below. You can see content before it drops. You can also have Q&A sessions with also other Patreon members, YouTube members as well. So if you would like that, hit the description link in below.